The call came while the dishwasher hummed like a confession that wouldn't stop. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes," my daughter-in-law shouted, her voice sharp enough to cut porcelain. The line went dead before I could answer. I stared at the sink, at my reflection in the chrome. A man older than a shadow, calm, useful, disposable. "Enjoy," I texted back. Then I posted the photos. The villa in Switzerland caught the light like a secret finally allowed to breathe. Stone terraces, snow on the peaks, a table set for no one. I didn't caption them. I never do. Silence works better. My phone began to vibrate. Once, twice. Then it didn't stop. 71 missed calls bloomed across the screen like a rash. I didn't answer, because the hum beneath the hum had started weeks ago. A wrongness, a hairline crack running through years of shared mornings, through 2 children who smiled with borrowed teeth, through a wife who slept like a stranger pretending to be home. The dishwasher clicked off. The house fell quiet. That was when I decided not to shout, not to break anything that couldn't be put back together. I decided to pull the strings. I found the first lie in a calendar reminder she forgot to delete. Lunch. R. Not us. Not work. Just a letter, smug in its simplicity. I said nothing. I never rush a revelation. I watched instead. Watched how she guarded her phone like a passport. Watched how the children's laughter echoed off me, never quite landing. Denial is a warm room. I stayed there longer than I should have. I told myself love could blur biology, that time had a way of making faces familiar. But then there were the details that refused to behave. Blood types that didn't match bedtime stories, school forms that asked for family history and left me holding a pen like a loaded weapon, the way my wife flinched when the children mentioned their uncle who wasn't related to anyone. I learned his name by accident, a casual mention at a dinner I hosted. He worked in finance, power adjacent, confident, the kind of man who mistakes borrowed authority for destiny. I smiled at him across the table, poured him wine, let him talk. He did. That night, my wife turned away from me in bed. I lay still, counting the breaths between her lies. I didn't confront her. I made room for the truth to walk in on its own. I began with the quiet work, cheek swabs and labeled envelopes. Not stolen, given. A game for the kids. Science is harmless when you don't explain it. I sent the samples away with a prepaid envelope and a neutral heart. Phone records next. I paid a man who never asked why. Patterns emerged. Lunches, late meetings, a second life mapped in timestamps. I watched her routine like a watchmaker studies gears, the pauses, the alibis, the way she softened before leaving the house and hardened when she returned. Externally, I was unchanged. I made breakfasts, I fixed the leaky faucet, I attended school events and applauded on cue. Inside, I cataloged every betrayal with clinical patience. I met the lover again, this time in his office. He thought it was business. I let him believe that. I listened to his ambitions, his leverage, the deals he thought made him untouchable. I bought his debt. Not all of it, just enough. Power isn't loud. It's a whisper that changes outcomes. When the DNA results arrived, I didn't open them right away. I placed the envelope on my desk and watched the sun move across it. I wanted the moment clean. When I finally read the words, they didn't hurt. They clarified. I set the report between us at the kitchen table. No preamble, no accusation. She read. Her hands began to shake. "Say it," I said softly. I already knew the answer. She cried. She begged. She tried to fold time backward with apologies. The children were asleep upstairs, breathing borrowed air. "They're not mine," I said. Not a question, a statement, a closing of a file. She reached for me. I leaned away. I asked her one last thing. "How long?" She told me. Years stacked like bodies. A double life curated with discipline and greed. I nodded. Composure is a mercy you give yourself. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask why. Reasons are for people who intend to forgive. I stood. I took the report. I folded it once and placed it in my pocket. "We're done," I said. Her scream followed me down the hall like an echo that couldn't keep up. The lover called first. Angry, confused, afraid. I met him in the lobby of his building. I handed him a folder. Inside were documents that rearranged his future. Loans called, partnerships dissolved, a silent vote of no confidence executed without witnesses. You thought you had power, I told him. You had access. He paled. He tried to negotiate. Men like him always do when the floor drops away. I left him there. Then I posted the villa.
Not to boast, to separate myself from the small rooms they tried to trap me in. My phone rang until it didn't. Messages poured in, demands, insults, pleas. My daughter-in-law called again. Her tone had changed. I didn't answer, because revenge doesn't require spectacle, it requires precision. I cut ties, I cut funding, I cut the narrative loose and let it bleed on its own. They were never the same. I live where the air is thin now, where the past struggles to breathe. I don't miss them. I don't rehearse speeches I'll never give. I don't imagine different endings. The children will learn the truth someday, or they won't. That isn't my burden anymore. What remains is clarity, the clean weight of it. I was used, I was lied to, I was replaced, and then I reclaimed myself. The dishwasher is silent here. So am I.